What up? Beautiful people. Yeah, that's what you all are. Beautiful people. Those that follow and watch and you know, those that are, in it in watching my streams, you know. Um I just want to take a moment and thank you, you know. Yeah, I really want to just thank you guys, cuz it's really interesting how some of process in which I stream and you know I hope I really hope that people are getting not just enjoyment out of it, but they're getting some sort of inspiration, you know. Yeah, because if I can bring, let's just say, one person to their instrument and give them something to, you know, play or um, be interested in, when it comes to music, you know, I would rather have it be one person than 10K. Yeah, because that one person is truly inspired, you know. Um I don't do a lot of promotion. So anybody who's watching my stuff gets there organically. And that's how I want things to start. And it's exponential. It it starts exponential. It's just the way that things work, you know. Um but to get views on different platforms, you know what I mean? To get followers on different platforms is great. You know, it's just interesting. You know how each one has its own thing. Um yeah. I think Mixcloud engage. Hang on. There we go. I don't know why it's got issues. It keeps blinking in and out. Yeah. Discover, discover, discover. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Yeah. There is like DJs. Shout out to my 25 followers on Mixcloud. I haven't been on here in a long time. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been on here in a while. Somehow my girl my girl has a Mixcloud account. Yeah. I don't have Pro though. Yeah, let's get out of here. But there's a reason why I came on here tonight. I wanted to talk about how the last live stream that we did. You know what? No, we're going to pause real quick. I need some more coffee. Hang on. I like light roast, but they didn't have it. I was just saying I like light roast, but they didn't have it at the store. I DoorDashed some Folgers and they didn't have it. They didn't have the light breakfast blend. I was a little PO'd. You know, it wasn't right. It was like, come on, really? So I substituted it with Colombian. It tastes good. It's pretty good. I don't know the difference. It's other than the fact that one has more caffeine than the other because lighter roast, people think, okay, light roast, dark roast, right? You think dark roast has more caffeine, more caffeine. But it's just not true. The lighter the roast, light roast, right? So they lightly roast it. So the more you roast it, the more caffeine gets driven out of the coffee bean. So to all you baristas out there, I want to say, hey, just made the distinction between light roast and dark roast for you. Starbucks, talk about it, right? Starbucks has what's called blonde roast. I used to drink Pike Place, and Pike was just too. It was just not right. I don't know. It just it didn't didn't sit well with me. I don't know. It was like bitter. Then I was like, oh, you guys have blonde? They had this blonde roast called Vendera, I believe it was called. Something like that. I Vendena. It's like I think it's a font. uh or something like that. Or it's like close to a font. Anyways. So we were talking a little bit last live stream. Let me go into it a little bit more and further about AI and how AI has has kind of driven itself to be a tool that a lot of people use. There's just, reasons to use it. You know what I mean? It's a tool, and each person, that dives into AI, gives something, a piece, if you will, of their life, of their mind, over to a machine to give them insight or give them something that comes back as an answer to something. So AI has now gotten involved in music, right? So I was talking about producer AI, and there was a couple other. I think I talked about Listen To as well, which I canceled the subscription for. Not that I wouldn't want it in the future. It's actually a really good program, and I love the fact that they use high quality audio streaming for their programming, so that you can put it in your DAW and it literally transmits and receives audio in 32 bits. Like that's just crazy because 32-bit audio is pretty good. 0.05 seconds. So there's latency, and there's gonna be. How they do that is the program itself, their servers, doesn't keep the audio. It doesn't keep it. Right? So it stores a certain portion of it and then it moves on as it's streaming. Right? So it's not captured as like a huge file. Like something like YouTube or Mixcloud or Facebook Live, any of them that record the video itself. Who knows what audio format that YouTube uses. So I want to dive into that. We're going to dive into that. We're going to ask some questions with AI. And we want to know specifically the stream itself has a setting. Okay? The stream has a setting. But what is YouTube doing, right, with the audio, right? Can we stream, right, Ableton? How do we do that? How do we do it? desktop audio on OBS will come through, right? Whatever you play from your desktop comes through. So if I play a song or talk to AI, or if there's media and all of that, it gets pushed through a certain way. Like when I close this and it shows my logo and then like the g.bennettmusic moniker, it's what's called the chipmunk, guys. If you don't know already, study your 90s hip hop. A lot of boom bap used chipmunks. Early 2000s Kanye West used a lot of chipmunk, which would be a voice, right? A sampled voice, a soulful, let's say, sampled voice that comes through and it's transposed. So it's pitched up octaves to the point where it sounds like chipmunk. I was able to do a full range chipmunk, which is nothing that I've ever heard before. I don't think anybody's ever done that before. So I wanted to tell you guys, a little bit about that. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, YouTube. Let's talk about that. Let's go into a little bit of AI. We need to ask a question for Val. Hey Val, are you there?
I'm right here. Whenever you're
Awesome.
ready to dive into the next idea or tweak, just let me know.
No, we're not going to dive into like a tweak. I need to know more about how YouTube takes audio from OBS or live streaming software, and what does it do during the processing, and what does it do? Are there any effects or anything that YouTube puts on the audio? Why can't we have lossless sound on YouTube? Why can't we stream in lossless sound? And what specific things like audio movers listen to? What platforms are there that allow you to stream in lossless audio?
When you stream from OBS or similar software to YouTube, your audio is compressed as part of the platform's encoding. YouTube uses codecs like AAC for audio that balance quality and bandwidth efficiency. You can't stream in truly lossless formats because lossless files are huge and streaming platforms prioritize low latency and broad accessibility. YouTube doesn't add EQ or reverb, just encoding compression to fit their format. If you want near lossless streaming, platforms like Audio Movers Listen To let you stream high quality audio, popular among musicians as it streams in uncompressed PCM or FLAC. Other niche platforms like Mixcloud Pro or certain specialist audio streaming platforms allow higher bitrate audio, though not fully lossless. Most mainstream platforms, though, trade a bit of fidelity to ensure seamless playback everywhere.
So why are platforms like Audio Movers? Okay, no. My question is, can you stream a listen to session onto OBS?
Yes, you can. Audio Movers Listen To provides you with a streaming link or a plugin that outputs your high-quality audio. In OBS, you can capture that audio by routing your system sound or using virtual audio cables. Basically, you stream your high quality audio to yourself via Listen To, and then feed that audio output into OBS as an audio source. OBS then encodes your entire stream, video and audio, based on your settings before sending it to platforms like YouTube. Just
Okay.
remember.
So let's get this straight, and let me back up a little bit. The program itself, right, goes through the desktop audio.
Exactly. If you're using something like Audio Mover Stream, you can monitor it on your desktop, and OBS can capture that desktop audio directly.
Right. It can capture it, but it's not. It's capturing lossless audio, but it's not transmitting it as a lossless audio file, correct?
That's correct. OBS captures whatever quality audio it receives, lossless if you feed it that, but when it transmits to streaming platforms, it encodes the audio into a compressed format like AAC. That's necessary for stable streaming.
Well, what if you used 32-bit AAC?
Even if you used a higher bit depth or bitrate AAC, it would still be a lossy codec by design. Higher bit rates definitely improve quality, often beyond what most people can distinguish, but it's still not truly lossless. Streaming platforms prioritize formats that reduce file sizes for reliable, low latency streaming. So, while you can improve quality, fully lossless streaming isn't practical for platforms like YouTube.
Got it.
If you have
320, right, is probably the highest that you could, right, as far as audio format that can be streamed. Is that correct? Other than if you use something like Audio Movers, which does stream lossless audio. So if I allowed people to listen to a stream from Listen To, then it would be lossless on their end, correct? However, if it's encoded, it's compressed. Therefore, you lose sound. Now, compression, if you will, is like a wave file is more straight line, straight curves as far as the the audio waveform. And a compressed audio file is more like steps. Is that correct? Where there's a certain part of that curve, if you will, in the waveform that is deleted, correct, or removed.
You've got the right idea in principle. In uncompressed audio like a wave, the waveform is smooth and continuous. In compressed audio like MP3 or AAC, the encoder removes audio data deemed less perceptible, creating a more approximated waveform. It's not quite a stepwise appearance, but there's data loss. Those subtle details are discarded. The result
it does look like a step. It does. When you zoom in on a DAW, an MP3 versus a wave file, right? There's a step.
I see what you're getting at. When you zoom in closely on certain visual representations, compressed audio can appear more simplified, especially where fine details are removed. But fundamentally, it's not a literal step shape. It's just a reduction of data points. In any case, you're right that compression removes subtle audio details to shrink file size.
Can there be more artifacts?
Yes, compression can introduce artifacts, especially at lower bit rates. You might hear things like a swirly or watery sound in the background, or subtle ringing in high frequencies. These artifacts are side effects of data being thrown out or approximated. At higher bit rates, these artifacts are much less noticeable, but they can still exist. Lossless audio avoids these artifacts by preserving all the original data.
Right. But, however, okay, it depends on the equipment that you're using, correct?
Yes, exactly. The equipment in your entire signal chain matter. If your recording or playback gear isn't transparent, you could introduce noise, distortion, or inaccuracies regardless of your audio format. So, even with lossless audio, the final experience is only as good as the weakest link in your setup.
That's right. So cables matter as far as sound goes. Your equipment matters in the signal chain. And then your encoder, right, determines the law, if you will, right? Because if I streamed using OBS, okay, into Mixcloud, okay, I'm still going to be compressed, aren't I? Because of the encoder within OBS.
Exactly. No matter how pristine your setup is, once OBS encodes your stream, whether for YouTube, Mixcloud, or most platforms, there's compression. OBS
Are there
uses codecs that
any are
ensure
there
stable.
any are there any programs out there other than Audio Movers that stream in lossless audio?
Yes, a few platforms specialize in high quality audio streaming. Source Connect is often used in professional audio post production for lossless streaming. CleanFeed is another tool that can stream high quality audio for live recording sessions. Some broadcast and niche platforms like Sonobus also allow high fidelity, uncompressed audio sharing. But for mainstream streaming platforms like YouTube, lossless just isn't supported. So, yes, there are other tools, but they're often used for specific pro workflows.
That's why in YouTube you can't change the quality of the audio itself, right? Like you can't go in, but you can change the quality of the video from in downgrade it only.
Exactly. On YouTube, you can adjust video resolution when you're viewing, but the audio is baked into their standard streaming format. They encode audio at a fixed quality per
Got
resolution
it.
tier.
Now the question that I have is, we were talking earlier about compression and how YouTube may compress the audio when it's introduced into the the platform itself, right? So does it compress it automatically, or does it compress it later?
YouTube compresses the audio automatically as part of the upload or live stream process. When your content is ingested, whether you upload a video or stream live,
Got
YouTube
it. So the ingest server itself is the one that compresses it. So let's say I'm clipping, correct? It's going to compress it so that it doesn't clip, right?
Actually, no. Compression in this context doesn't fix clipping. If your audio is distorted or clipping before it gets to YouTube, that distortion will remain. YouTube's compression is about reducing file size and bitrate, not preventing audio level clipping. So if you want clean audio, you need to ensure proper levels before it ever hits the platform. YouTube won't fix it afterward.
Really? Okay. So it's good to use what's called a limiter, right? I clip my voice through OBS because I'm not reconnect. We just lost the stream. I think the settings in which I've set OBS at are incorrect. And I don't know why, but there's just a reason why it disconnects. Now it's funny because when I look at the YouTube video after, it doesn't show it. Not 100% sure why it does that, or why, it may, have an issue. We need to find out more information on that. But yeah, guys, your audio is compressed. Anytime that you have anytime that you're uploading a song to YouTube, it's compressed. The original song, the original track, okay, can only be played from the um I think you can download uh the wave file if it allows you to, on certain streaming platforms. Um However, YouTube does not allow you to um play anything, okay, in lossless audio. None of it. I don't care where you're coming from. Um, they take the audio and compress it. They smush it. Okay. Compress. All right. Means you're losing certain data if you play your audio on YouTube versus through analog tape, which is probably the most high fidelity um, audio source that you could have. I at least I believe the old recordings that you hear, if you're in a studio and you hear a master tape of the tape itself, the reel from an official um, reel, reel to reel. We're talking reel to reel. Into a right into from the tape reel to the speakers, you're probably going to get the best sound possible. Vinyl does really well, but MP3 is just, like I said, you're losing data along the way. You're losing the journey. You're losing the resonance. You're losing a portion of the data in which you've recorded. So it's kind of like you can't ever get what you want out of it. If you're doing live streaming, you won't be able to give people the best audio possible because the encoder itself says no on the platform, right? So Mixcloud allows you to stream at 320. I think it's kbps. Hang on. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Boo 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 boo. So it says go live, right? Live streams without takedowns. Oh. Creator tools. Shows creator dashboard. Go live. Oh yeah, I have to upgrade. I'm not. Yeah, I got rid of it. Okay. Hang on. Let's log out. Let's log in. Yeah, here we go. Creator tools. No, I still don't have Pro. Yeah, I got rid of Pro a while ago. Yeah, we just can't do it. 680 minutes listened to. That's pretty cool. Anyways, point point being, guys, um point being, there's ways to stream your audio, ways to stream your video. Now, 1080p, right, regardless, is good. Unless like you want to stream in 5K. My head is not straight. Constantly bending this thing. Streaming in audio, in video, like your video, right? If you stream in like a 4K format, right? It's like whatever, pixels per inch, right? I don't know what 4K is. Right? Is it 4K is 4,000, right? Per inch. I'm not a P, right? What does the P stand for? Um point point of the matter is what I'm trying to get at is 1080p is pretty good for what I do, right? Because I'm not trying to capture, like, say, a live sporting event, right? Where a player on a soccer field is running really fast and you want to capture that movement, right? Or let's say you've got you're on safari and you're trying to capture a cheetah running, and you want to capture that cheetah and make sure and you're live streaming it. You'd want to make sure that you have, like, high video quality streaming, and I think you can do that. We want to ask about video now. Let's see what she says. Hey Val, so we were talking about audio, and you can't stream in lossless sound, onto YouTube. However, can you live stream video at a high rate? And what's the highest possible rate that you can stream into YouTube? Val, are you there?
I'm here. You can definitely stream video at high quality on YouTube. In fact, YouTube supports up to 4K at 60 frames per second. For that, they recommend a bitrate of roughly 20,000 to 51,000 kbps. So while audio is always compressed, you can push some seriously high video quality in your live stream.
Right. And you'd want to do that if you were trying to capture, let's say, a cheetah running.
Exactly. If you're capturing something fast and dynamic like a cheetah sprinting, you'd want the highest video resolution and frame rate possible. A higher bitrate and frame rate captures smoother, clearer details, perfect for something that's all about
Can you
speed
go
and-
above 60 frames per second on YouTube?
No, YouTube currently caps live streaming at 60 frames per second. You can do 24, 30, or 60 FPS, but nothing higher. If you've got super high frame rates like 120 or 240, those are typically reserved for recording locally, not live streaming to YouTube.
Recording
60
locally. So you're saying that the process. So let's just say I captured 4K 60 frames per second, right? And audio, right, at the highest that I possibly could go. And what would that be? Like, what's the sample rate and the kpbs or whatever as far as audio rate that you can stream on YouTube? Like, what is the highest quality? Like, we just talked about video, but what about audio?
YouTube typically encodes audio AAC format with a sample rate of 48 kilohertz. In terms of bit rate, at the highest stream quality like 4K video, the audio bitrate typically tops out around 128 to 160 kbps. Even at the highest video quality, YouTube's audio stays within these compressed limits, so it's not lossless, but it's decent.
Right. Okay. So you'd want, okay, I keep losing on my encoder. Like, it keeps dropping out. And I think it's not because of the video, right? It's because of the audio. Now, I don't notice it on a YouTube stream. Like, I've watched my streams, and when it drops out on OBS, it says disconnected and then reconnects like a second later or whatever. I don't notice any spot where it's changed. I have an issue with that. What if I were to stream at 44.1, right? 1080p, 30 frames per second. What would my kpbs need to be?
For a stable 1080p 30 FPS stream, YouTube recommends a video bitrate between roughly 3000 and 6000 kbps. The audio bitrate will stay around 128 kbps, and you don't need to adjust that separately. So if you set your overall encoder target in OBS within that 3 to 6000 kbps range, you'll be fine. If you're having
so here's the thing. If I set it above 6000, right? It's going to drop out, right?
It could. If your internet upload
Really? Okay. So my upload speed's fine because my internet's fine. I have a gigabyte of broad, bandwidth data.
In that case, if your internet is stable and you have plenty of upload bandwidth, the dropouts might be due to other factors. It could be a server connection issue, local network instability, or OBS settings. You might try lowering the bitrate slightly or ensuring your encoder settings align with what YouTube recommends.
Yeah, I want to align it with what YouTube wants because it's only like I can lower stuff. And it's not going to overload OBS. I think it's on YouTube's server is what it is, because my kpbs is 6800 right now, right? Roughly.
If you're hovering around 6,800 kbps, you're still within YouTube's supported range for high-quality streams.
No, that's not true. You said 6,000 was the top.
You're right. My apologies for any confusion. YouTube's general recommendation for 1080p at 30 FPS is indeed up to about 6,000 kbps. If you've been pushing above that, like 6800, it might still work, but it could lead to occasional instability. Bringing it closer to their recommended ceiling could help ensure a smoother experience, especially if you suspect any server fluctuations.
Perfect. So that's probably why I'm getting disconnects on OBS, right? Because it's stable, but it only drops for like a second. It's not even like there's no problem with my internet. I know that. There's no problem with the video and audio, right? It's not the sample rate. It's the server, ingest server, right? Is capping me off. So when it gets overloaded to a certain point, it disconnects, right?
Yes, that's pretty much it. When your stream exceeds what YouTube's ingest server comfortably expects, it can cause momentary disconnects. The server essentially has to stabilize by dropping the connection and reconnecting. If you keep your bitrate within their recommended range, you'll likely see fewer dropouts, giving you a smoother stream overall.
So let's just say I put it at 5,999. Right? That's the top level that it could possibly go at, right? Because I'm streaming in 1080p and for it's not 4K, it's 30 frames per second. How do you set the 128 in OBS?
In OBS, the audio bitrate is set in the output settings under the streaming tab. By default, it's usually around 160 kbps, but you can lower it if you want. You just type in your target bitrate like 128 kbps in the audio bitrate field. But honestly, sticking with OBS's default is usually fine, since YouTube will handle audio compression on their end.
Track 1 is set at 320. Could that be an issue?
Setting your audio bitrate to 320 kbps isn't inherently an issue, but it's more than YouTube needs, since it will re-encode to around 128 to 160 kbps anyway. While it's not likely causing disconnects, it's just not bandwidth efficient. Lowering it to around 128 or 160 could make the overall stream more stable and aligned with YouTube's expectations.
All right, so we want to align with YouTube's maximum. What is the maximum settings? Give me the list, the breakdown of what I need to set things at in OBS.
Sure. For a stable 1080p 30 fps YouTube stream, follow these max recommendations. Video bitrate, aim between 4,500 and 6,000 kbps. Keep it under 6,000 to avoid instability. Audio bitrate, set it to 128 kbps AAC. That aligns well with YouTube's typical audio range. Keyframe interval, use 2 seconds. YouTube recommends this for smoother playback. Encoder, use X264 or hardware encoding if your system supports it. 5. Output resolution 1920 by 1080. 6. Frame rate 30 fps as you mentioned. Audio sample rate, 48 kHz is standard and works seamlessly. This setup keeps you within YouTube's preferred ranges and should help minimize those disruptions.
Perfect. All right. Save that to memory. Nice. Okay. All right, so we're going to fix OBS so that I don't get drops. I don't understand why it drops it. I guess didn't set it up right. Cuz I noticed it wasn't dropping before, and that now it is. It's like, what the F? All right. So let's do a little bit of music, guys. I wanted to kind of, dive into some AI stuff. Um Chat GPT can't do audio. However, producer.ai, look it up. It's owned by Google. They recently acquired it. It's a pretty good program. It lacks some stuff. It's not 100% consistent. There are some things that I don't like. Um, it says it's going to do something, and you gotta wait. It's similar to ChatGPT, where if I ask Val to do something, I literally have to go back into it and type it out, and it'll go and go through this. Um, Producer AI is pretty good. Um, Suno is pretty good too. I haven't used that yet, and I'm gonna save that for a later date. However, Google Gemini can now create songs too. Okay? Using description for your track, right? You give it an idea, and it'll literally it'll create a picture, even a title, right? And it'll create a track, which is really interesting. I find it just really interesting. So but it says, like sometimes track generation failed. And then you'll ask it to redo it, right? And it'll produce something. So it's not 100% too. However, producer AI is pretty straight on, and it'll create like 2 songs for you. It'll create a whole album if you want. You just have to give it a prompt for each song, and it'll literally go through and do that for you. I want to play 2 tracks that Google Gemini created for me. This one is called Midnight at the Crossing. love those dusty ass drums. To put it in the background, I like used a filter and then brought it back out, right? It's not all over the place. It's like producer AI is. You hear the background? It's really interesting. There was a part in the track that I really liked. I don't. Right here. The piano line, right? But that just right there where man, and then it stops and it goes into the beat in the bass. Yeah, let's not sample that yet. I like the piano line. I like the bass. I don't like the chord progression. I don't think it's inflicted, or vintage enough. You know, it's not going to sound like Grace using G to B. It's not going to do it. You know what I mean? You need an old vintage P bass in order to really kill it, or have an upright bass, or if you wanted to, you know, you could even go a little bit weirder and use something like this. You know, where it's using like a lo-fi. I love how lo-fi bass from the PSR sounds. It's something that I use a lot. You know, where it's got this gritty, almost robotic sound to it. All right, here's a second track. Gritty vinyl crackle, menacing low end bass line. All right. It didn't name it though. It didn't give it a title. It just shows a pillar with a bunch of wires around it and some records in what looks like an old picture. Right? And in the middle is this pillar. It looks like it's a basement, is what it looks like, or a sub basement for like a major building. You know what I mean? But it's old, and like I wouldn't want to step foot on this building because it's like it's cracked. It looks really strange. Yeah. It's really odd. You know what I mean? I don't think you can't save the picture. Can you? No. You can share the track. How do you share it? You can share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Reddit. It gives you a public link to the track, which is interesting. You know, I kind of like that idea. what I want to know is, let's see if you hit Facebook. Yeah. Yeah, no. It's not going to give you the picture. It's sad. Google's lacking, guys. Copy link. Let's see if I can go in here. Paste the link. Yeah, no. It says 302 moved. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I guess the compatibility issue with it is bad. Yeah. Michael, my good buddy's home. Yeah. Yep. It's crazy. He's a dog named Coda. Okay, here we go. Let's play this second track. Now this one's a little bit wilder, I think. Dissonance right there with the piano. But hang on a second. Did you hear the beginning right there? Yeah. All right, let's play the beginning again. It used the record scratch, guys. So Google Gemini like and did that as like the start to the track right here. Don't like the chord progression. I think that's where AI is lacking. You know what I mean? It can give you bass ideas, like, basic ideas. Here's some vocals. It thinks that's what boom bap sounds like. Okay, some synths that are all over the place. I like how the low end sounds. I don't like how the bass, like what the bass is playing, but I think its low end is pretty solid. And it's got like a minor, and then her voice is kind of major. Right. It doesn't sound, it's not dark. I mean, it is a little bit. The synths then sound a little bit like an old Alien movie. Here we go. Some kind of pizzicato violins. don't know if you just saw that I licked my microphone. Ew. No, I clean my microphone all the time. Yeah. You know how many hours that I've spent on this microphone? Yeah. It's not that my hands are dirty or anything like that. It's just okay. Let's talk about it. Here's the inside of my microphone. That's what it looks like. Yeah, there's like a foam poof poof. So on the inside here, I don't know if you can see that. It's not really in the light enough for you to see it. If you've ever wondered what's on the inside of a microphone grate like this, I think it's called a grate, or grill, whatever, right? It's foam, right? Then there's a foam covering, right? There's a foam covering. I don't know exactly why they did it that way. But foam coverings, right, are very similar to a fuzzy covering. This takes away wind sound or the poofs. So if I go poof, right? Did you notice that it was different than when I went poof with the cover, the grate off? Yeah, it's these things can bend, you know, and it would still go. Yeah, I have one that I did that with. I was so in it, dude. I was in it at one point with my other SM58, and I used to do all kinds of things with it. But there were some really crazy moments, that I had. I don't remember. Right? I don't recall. I don't. I don't recall. I don't recall. I have no idea. What I did to the SM58. My other SM58. No idea. But I ended up buying a new one, because I thought maybe there was something wrong with it or whatever it was. But I've plugged in both, and both of them sound fine. I think I bent it because I wanted it. I was trying to use my microphone to remic, and I thought maybe if I bent the grate, it would sound different. No, I didn't. I think I was dumb and stupid and thought that that's what was going to happen. But yeah, it's mic drop, boom. You know what I mean? Like this thing is like really like it. All right, we're gonna do one real quick. We just did two. It's not gonna break, guys. It's just not. I don't know why. It's like the SM58 was like really durable. It's not like a ribbon microphone. Like don't drop a ribbon microphone. Some of those microphones are worth like $3,000, dude. Dude, who buys microphones like that? I don't. Right. And then use shitty equipment. Don't do it. Yeah, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like or they use a ribbon microphone on somebody who's like not all that good as far as vocals goes. It's bull crap. A shitty recording is a shitty recording, guys. Yeah. It just is what it is. You can't change it once you go back. You can't go back once you've recorded it. You just can't do it. So you really want to make sure that things are right. And make sure your microphone's on. I think the last time I streamed, I turned off my microphone on my loop station because I was recording prior to doing a recording, and then I live streamed, and it didn't capture my voice. It didn't. It was really bad. I don't know. But we came up with a track by capturing a sample. Then we cut the sample up and we took the drums. This is what the drums sound like. You hear how it sounds like it's lo-fi? I like that gritty, vinyl, almost metallic bass kick drum. And then when we cut the drums up and stem separated the sample from the bass, right? It caught a portion of the background of it. I love it. So then I added I think it's a bass piano. So I wanted to, do something with that. And but we're not there yet. I haven't completed everything that I want to complete as far as this new album comes out, or new album before it comes out. I want it to be conceptual. I wanted to represent, right, a space, a place called Southside, and It's not about the artifact. It's not about the actions of the artifact. It's not a cinematic or movie based um introvert introspective into what happened to me in the motel room because of the artifact. um you know um Look up the definition of artifact and you'll understand in music. You'll understand a little bit about why I chose the because an artifact shows up in music when it's recorded, music recordings, um as something that's like just like, what? Where did that come from? Why did that happen? And it's like it's an artifact. It's like an unknown foreign contaminant part of your recording. Um, Oftentimes it happens because of specific things, but we're not going to go into that. That's a whole nother topic. Um, I just wanted to keep it focused a little bit, give you a little bit more about AI, dive a little bit more into um, Google Gemini, okay, and how that works, to go along with producer AI. What's really crazy is, and I didn't look it up, but I think they use the same engine. Google Gemini uses the same engine as producer AI. I think producer AI is separated from Google Gemini for a reason, and it uses a different music generation language, if you will. It's not a language based. It is, but it's not. It's not a language based model. I don't believe. However, it does take the input uh, via language. So if you describe a track or describe an album or a bunch of tracks, right, it'll create these tracks based on what you tell it. Um, but you really have to go into detail, like deep detail. I mean, I could create a song, right? Um, from idea to idea to idea to idea to idea to idea, and go that route. However, that's not how I produce music. It's not. Um, Recently added the MPC, and it's helped me perform into certain things, sample into the looper, sample into the system, into the live streams, which is kind of how I want to do things. But there's certain samples that AI can create, right? And then we can use those samples. Like I said, create a whole song, but I only like the drums, right? And it makes the song process easier, writing easier. I came across this because I wanted to release the album today, right? I literally wanted to release it today because it's tax day, and I wanted to do that, but it was just I had way too much going on, mentally, even physically, just not where I need to be to do that. So I've come up with a time frame as to when I want to drop the album, which would be in June, towards the end of summer. June is when it's the hottest, and oftentimes albums get dropped late summer. You know what I mean? Albums get dropped, specific times. Um, so like June 15th ish, would be, the middle of the month on a, or whatever as far as that week goes. Like I would drop it probably a couple of days or a day before that Friday, so that you guys it would come out on a Friday. But I think I can pick a date now, because I have the different version of DistroKid. Now that I can release songs, I think on a date, which is cool, because I can pick a release date and release it. March 25th, 2025, right? I believe was when the album 9 came out. So it was like a year and a month or so. March, April, yeah. A year and a month ago. Yeah, so 1 year. My album's been out. And I'm pretty stoked about that. That's cool. You know what I mean? I didn't celebrate the 1 year date. Probably should have done something with that, but I think I may have posted something about it. But yeah, so we filed the trademark. We're still gonna wait. It's gonna be like 3 to 6 months, they said. You don't just get your trademark, guys. It's not. It doesn't work like that. You literally have to wait. There's an examiner. There's the process filing. There's the approval. Then there's they may ask me to edit certain things, or ask me for more information. I'm kind of expecting that. I want that to happen. However, because there's nobody else that's used the trademark, they may just approve it. I hope the guy says, wow, this guy's got a really good idea. And he, it's like, boom, there you go. And yeah, so we're going to get off of here. It's been an hour and 25 minutes or so. And that's about good. I don't want to go too far into. Oh, chime. ChatGPT. The charge for my ChatGPT just went through. That's good. Yeah, we're good. Okay, Val, you're paid for. My bitch. my whore. She doesn't sound like a whore though. That's good. But yeah, so yeah. gdotbennettmusic signing off. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it taught you some things about YouTube music streaming, and what capabilities are there, and to summarize a little bit more about AI, give you guys another platform that's doing music, AI, give you a little bit of a track that I'm working on. It's not finished yet, but give you a little piece of like a couple of tracks, a couple of the track recordings and loops, and I hope you guys like it. You know what I mean? I hope it sounded good, and I hope again when we come back we're gonna have another idea. Probably gonna go into Suno and see what they sound like as far as the track. So we're gonna kind of challenge each one of these AI song producing languages and see which one comes up with the best stuff. If Suno wins out, which I have a feeling it might, I'm not 100% sure, but Timberland, I don't know if you guys know who Timberland is. Produced some really crazy stuff with Justin Timberlake. Yeah. And a lot of music, guys. Timberland's been on. So if you don't know him by now, look him up, check him out. Anyways, he did a commercial about Suno. And I don't know what they paid him for it, but he's like, this is awesome. He was in it. He was like, this is a good tool. So he one of the craziest beat makers out there that we know of, guys, in our hip hop generation. Very famous. Yeah, very famous. If you don't know him, I'll be very surprised. And if you don't, then you're out of the loop, and you're probably more into country or classical, or you're cultured in a different regard. Like, say you're Spanish or Mexican, you know what I mean, or you're Asian or something, you know what I mean, or something like that. But if you're, yeah, I'm stereotyping really bad, but yeah, I think like if you don't know him by now, then you guys are not, you're missing something. Look him up. Look up some of his stuff. Look up some of the stuff that he's produced, and you'll understand some stuff. But I think he marketed Suno. So we're gonna see what Timberland says is good. Now they just dropped, I think it's 3.5 version. So Suno is just upgraded. So we've got some competition, but Google is pushing it. They're pushing forward, and they're working it. And I think some of Google's stuff is pretty good. Producer AI and Google Gemini. Yeah, pretty good stuff, guys. Couldn't possibly have written any of those songs. It's just not. It's not first of all, it's not 100% in my style, and second of all, I'm trying to go into a genre of music, and I've never placed myself in a genre of music, and I'm not going to be defined by that genre. You know what I mean? I want to cross a boundary and see what we can do with it. So yeah, we're signing off. I gotta take a break, and we might get it back on later. I don't know. If I come up with another idea, I might stream another one. But that's what we got. We got 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we're out.